Friends, today we dive into the story of a fierce historical figure. Before I reveal his identity, I have a question. Can you even believe it? A middle-aged man approaching his 50s, who had achieved absolutely nothing in his life, and whose own father openly despised him, viewed him as a mere street-wandering loafer. He somehow managed to overthrow the invincible god of war. Did it in just 7 short years. Not only that, but he established a magnificent, enduring empire. An empire that spanned 4 centuries. Whenever his name is brought up, people think of the word hooligan. Why is that? Because his early life was notorious. Notorious for its dark and unsavory history. He publicly berated, insulted, deeply respected Confucian scholars. He hijacked other people's carriages and fled from assassins during a critical life or death moment. While fleeing, he mercilessly kicked his own flesh and blood off his horse-drawn carriage just to lighten the load to escape faster. His ultimate adversary was the aristocratic Xiang Yu. Xiang Yu was the hegemon king of Western Chu, a man whose physical strength could uproot mountains, and whose imposing spirit overshadowed the entire world. And what about our protagonist, you ask? He was merely a lowly pavilion master in Pei County, in Jiangsu province, earning a pitifully meager monthly salary, spending his days shamelessly mooching free food and drinks at local taverns. Yet it was exactly this, nobody, riddled with flaws, and dealt a terrible hand in life, who miraculously brought a definitive end to the chaotic wars. The chaotic wars of the late Qin era. He founded the epic, sweeping, and historically monumental Han Dynasty. The title he chose for his empire evolved. It evolved into the eternal identifier of our people. The reasons we call ourselves the Han ethnic group, write in Chinese characters, and speak the Chinese language, all trace their roots back to this incredible origin. He is none other than Emperor Gaozu of Han Liu Bang. Today, let us pierce through the dense fog, the fog of over 2,000 years of history, to deeply analyze this ultimate grassroots emperor, who remains one of the most controversial figures, yet emotionally intelligent figures in Chinese history. We are going to uncover his terrifyingly brilliant wisdom. Let us rewind the clock to the year 256 BC. In that year, Liu Bang was born into an ordinary family, an ordinary peasant family in Fengyi, Pei County. During an era where survival depended entirely on nature. And grueling agricultural labor. Other children obediently worked the fields. Liu Bang, however, absolutely despised farming. Modern terms, he was an idle, unemployed drifter. His father was deeply frustrated by his lack of ambition. He would frequently point right at his nose and scold him severely for his lack of property. Look at your second brother and his acquired property. Then look at yourself, you are nothing but a scoundrel. Despite all this, Liu Bang possessed a captivating charm. What was this charm, you ask? Incredibly generous with money and fiercely loyal to friends. He exhibited an exceptionally high emotional quotient. Wherever he went, he could naturally smooth talk his way into becoming a respected figure. Beloved big brother figure among his peers. He rarely had more than a few coins. But whenever he visited the local tavern to drink, the proprietress never pressed him to pay his debts. At the end of the year, she tore up his tabs. Why? Because she observed a fascinating phenomenon. Whenever Liu Bang sat in her establishment drinking, the business for that day would be extraordinarily good. What do we call this today? This is the definition of a traffic-generating physique. An innate, undeniable leadership charisma, deeply embedded in him. Everyone assumed he would idle away in Pei County. But the gears of destiny violently began to turn. He was dispatched to Xianyang for grueling manual labor. From the dense crowd he watched from afar, as the luxurious procession of the emperor passed by. In that singular, breathtaking moment, ambition ignited. It ignited within the eyes of this middle-aged man, staring intently at the arrogant and majestic imperial guard. He blurted out an immortal quote. This is exactly how a great man should be. In 209 BC, a widespread peasant rebellion sparked, plunging the entire realm into profound chaos. At this time, the now 48-year-old Liu Bang drew his sword and slew a white snake, capitalized on mystical propaganda to build legitimacy. The son of the Red Emperor slaying the White, he assembled a rebel force and declared his entry. Entering the grand game as the Lord of Pei, absolutely no one could have anticipated this, that this former pavilion master would emerge victorious. Man who just wanted to freeload through life, emerge as the ultimate victor in the brutal tournament, the bloody elimination tournament of the late Qin period. If placed in today's context, his rise to power would undoubtedly be a best-selling, textbook-level startup guide. Throughout his lifelong entrepreneurial journey, he accomplished 3 feats, each striking directly at the vital core of success. King Huai of Chu made an incredibly tempting pact. Whoever pacifies Guanzhong first shall be made its king. Meaning whoever breached the capital first would rule it. What was his rival Xiang Yu doing at this moment? He was breaking his cauldrons and sinking his boats, fighting a desperate bloodbath against the Qin army. Liu Bang knew he could not win ahead on clash, so he recruited surrendered enemies and defectors along his path. Avoiding their strength, he struck at their weak points. He miraculously slipped into the capital city of Xianyang, getting there one step ahead of everyone else. Upon entering Xianyang, what confronted Liu Bang? Mountains of glittering gold and silver treasures, and a harem filled with incredibly beautiful women. For a man from the absolute bottom of society, who had lived a life of poverty and destitution, what a colossal temptation this must have been. Yet this formerly lecherous and greedy man restrained himself. He restrained himself completely in the face of immense wealth. He decisively ordered the treasuries and storehouses sealed, withdrew his army to garrison at Pengcheng, ensuring his troops did not commit the slightest offense. Furthermore, he abolished all the tyrannical and harsh laws that had driven the common people to despair. Instead, he established 3 exceedingly simple rules. He who kills shall die. He who steals shall be punished. This is the historically famous 3 rules of agreement. Through these laws, he moved the deeply suffering people, moved them to tears of absolute gratitude, without deploying a single soldier in combat. 1. He won the most expensive and crucial asset, the unwavering support of the people. When it came to pure battlefield prowess, he lacked. 10 Liu Bangs could not defeat a single Xiang Yu during the grueling Chu-Han contention. What was his state? He was constantly being overwhelmingly crushed and humiliated. The most tragic defeat occurred at the Battle of Pengcheng. He assembled a massive coalition army of troops, only to be completely annihilated by Xiang Yu's cavalry, an elite cavalry force of merely 30,000 men. In that single, catastrophic battle, he lost his entire army. His own father and wife were also captured alive. He quite literally lost everything down to his last shirt. However, Liu Bang's most terrifying trait lay right here. He possessed frighteningly strong resilience against setbacks. You can defeat me 10 times, or 100 times, but as long as I have a single breath left, I will simply start all over again. He stubbornly held the Xianyang defense line, bitterly tying down Xiang Yu in frontal engagements. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, he empowered his brilliant general, Han Xin, opened up a northern theater of war, gradually forming a massive strategic encirclement. Finally, at the Battle of Gaixia, in 202 BC, he laid down an ambush on 10 sides, forcing the mighty hegemon king to commit suicide. Xiang Yu ended his life at the Wu River, after conquering the empire, facing a completely devastated landscape, devastated by years of continuous, brutal warfare. Liu Bang did not indulge in grand delusions or massive vanity construction projects like Qin Shi Huang. He displayed the extraordinary long-term vision, the vision of a brilliant statesman. He swiftly implemented the Huang Lao philosophy, allowing the common people to rest and recuperate, significantly reducing taxes and forced labor, successfully pulling the nation back from total collapse. Regarding the national structural framework, to ensure the eternal stability of his empire. He dragged his ailing body into battle, fighting during his twilight years to quell rebellions of non-Liu vassal kings with military power. He left behind the famous white horse oath: if anyone not of the Liu surname becomes king, let the whole empire attack him together. He spent 7 brutal years conquering the world, amidst a storm of swords and shadows, then spent the last 7 years of his life laying a rock-solid foundation for this fragile empire. Hearing this, we inevitably must ask a central question. Liu Bang had no formidable army of his own. He possessed no great martial prowess whatsoever. On what grounds did he manage to defeat Xiang Yu? Countless strategists and historians analyze this. Over the centuries, however, the most profound answer was provided by him. This is the famous Luoyang Nangong banquet event. It was the year 202 BC. Shortly after Liu Bang ascended the throne as emperor, he hosted an incredibly grand celebratory banquet. A grand banquet at the South Palace in Luoyang. As the wine flowed and the food was served, the atmosphere in the great hall grew lively. Suddenly, Liu Bang set down his wine cup. He looked around at the civil and military officials and asked a sharp, almost uncomfortably direct question. Asked his lords and generals to speak. Since we are all here today, speak your minds, speak from the bottom of your hearts. Exactly what did I rely upon to win the world? And why did Xiang Yu lose it? The ministers thought the emperor was testing them, so they launched into a flurry of predictable flattery, saying His Majesty is righteous and benevolent, while Xiang Yu was cruel and tyrannical. When you conquer a city, you share the spoils. Whereas Xiang Yu hoarded everything for himself, Liu Bang listened quietly, waved his hand dismissively, and then he let out a loud laugh. He delivered an immortal speech, recorded in history, revered as a golden rule by countless subsequent emperors, by generals, and modern business leaders alike. He stated, "You only know one part of it, but you do not know the other part." He then presented 3 consecutive, powerful, parallel statements, devising strategies within a command tent. Strategies that guarantee victory 1,000 miles away. In this, I am inferior to Xianyang, pacifying the state, comforting the people, managing the treasury, and ensuring the supply lines are never severed. In this, I am inferior to Xiao He, commanding an army of 1,000,000 men, guaranteeing victory in every battle and every siege. In this, I am inferior to Han Xin. Having said this, Liu Bang abruptly stood up. He declared with resonant force for all to hear, "These 3 men are all unparalleled human talents. I am able to employ them, seizing the world." Xiang Yu possessed a single Fan Zheng, and yet he failed to utilize him properly. That is the very reason he was captured. Friends, this magnificent monologue pushes his art of leadership. It pushes his leadership to the absolute pinnacle. If we carefully savor its true meaning, Liu Bang was the supreme, untouchable ruler, yet he had absolutely no qualms about his inadequacies. Openly admitting his faults in front of his subordinates, he frankly and transparently confessed his weaknesses. In terms of strategic planning, I am worse. I am simply not as good as Zhang Liang. In logistics and administration, I am worse than Xiao He. In leading troops, I am worse than Han Xin. But he possessed one universally unrivaled skill, the supreme, undeniable art of using people. He knew exactly how to delegate power. He dared to entrust hundreds of thousands of troops, entrusted them to Han Xin, a lowly unrecognized soldier. Always listened to good advice. With just a single word from Zhang Liang, could suppress his deepest carnal desires, spitting out the alluring prize. Touching his lips, he was also exceptionally generous with his wealth. To win hearts and minds for a shared goal, he could unhesitatingly distribute vast tracts of land, showering his subordinates with pure gold and silver. Profoundly understood the weaknesses of human nature and the inherent, greedy desires of men. Xiang Yu was simply far too arrogant. He wore all the halos, claimed all glory, acting as a flawless, invincible lone warrior. But Liu Bang distributed the benefits to everyone, transforming the monumental enterprise conquering the world, into a massive, lucrative partnership system. The smartest and most capable fighters in the world wanted to achieve their own upward social mobility. To secure their own wealth, they had no choice, they had to fight desperately and fiercely for him. This is the ultimate wisdom of Liu Bang. Those who achieve great things need not be invincible. As long as you make invincible people work eagerly for you, you are the true king. Looking back at Liu Bang's life, he appears as a walking, breathing contradiction. You might condemn him as a hooligan and rogue. Yet, in the face of existential crises, he displayed an astonishing level of restraint, magnanimity that ordinary people could scarcely replicate. You might laugh at him for being cowardly, laugh at him for always running away. But, on the battlefield, after taking a deadly arrow, he forced down the agonizing pain. Stabilize army morale, he grabbed his foot. He laughed out loud while shouting to his soldiers, "That thief only hit my toe." He was incredibly decisive and utterly ruthless, coldly purging the vassal kings in his twilight years, doing it just to protect the Han Dynasty. Yet, simultaneously, he was a deeply sentimental man. After conquering the world, he returned in glory, returned to his humble hometown in Pei County. He grabbed the elders he used to drink with, and amidst the intoxication of cheap wine, he sang with tears streaming down his face. A great wind rises, oh the clouds are flying, my might sweeps across the cross seas. Oh, I return to my old home, where can I find brave warriors to guard the four corners of my land? This famous song of the great wind, thou consisting of merely 3 short lines, fully expresses his domineering spirit, profound desolation, and the lonely heights he experienced. Liu Bang is absolutely not a simple man, not one to be summarized by the word hooligan. He was the most outstanding politician of his era, a top-tier master of psychology, and a super CEO dividing the cake of power, precisely because he crawled up from the absolute bottom, tasting every bit of human warmth and coldness, and taking the harshest beatings life could offer. He understood what ordinary people truly desired. He understood the deepest realms of greed and fear, single-handedly brought an end to the anarchy, the terrifying anarchy of the late Qin period. With outstanding political maneuvering, he stitched together the fragmented lands of China. From that point onward, no matter where people went, the people of this vast land shared a name. They shared a common, resounding name, Han. When you truly understand a man like Liu Bang, you decode the winning formula of the contention, but you also grasp the profound laws, survival, the worldly wisdom embedded within thousands of years of Chinese history.